Well, performance analysis is a discipline that provides video and data insight rooted in the coaching process to improve performance. Research used to say that 30% coaches are going to recall 30% of what happened in a game, some research from football. So our role there is to support the coaches in providing further context of actually what happened as opposed to what they think possibly happened, to help understand the performance, support training, provide intelligence before competition, and then fundamentally in terms of a games time support or an in-competition support, to provide really simple, powerful, real-time video and data feedback that coaches and players can act on there and then. There's the bedrock of what we would consider in-competition sport, be it Olympics or any competition. Performance analysis, analysts have been rooted in competitions at London, all the Olympics for a number of years, and it's a discipline in terms of numbers attending has evolved over the years. Rio presented a different challenge in how we're operating compared to London. In the remit we're providing a central performance analysis service on behalf of the BOA, which was offered to all Team GB sports. In London, from a location perspective, we knew what we were dealing with, you knew we were there. Rio presented the challenge of being X amount of 1,000 miles across the ocean, and working to a tighter budget line, and ultimately as technology has improved, how do we stay on the front foot of technology? So even in those 4 years, technology had improved or enhanced significantly to mean what you were trying to achieve was very similar, providing and enhancing and providing the sports with effective video and data support. The methodology of how you delivered it to them was the fundamental change, mainly around technology. The remit was to provide performance analysis support, predominantly video feedback to the sports in the method they needed at the time they needed, using the OBS using the broadcast feed. The way we approached that task was that we operated a split site. We had 12 analysts were part of the staff, or part of the team supporting this project for the BOA. We split that as in we had 4 in Rio, who were there providing capture analysis and sharing platforms to the sports based on what the OBS feed was providing. The Manchester team were accessing same technology, same infrastructure, but using the BBC feed, and they were capturing. 8 of them were positioned in Manchester, capturing footage for the sports based on what they had offered from the BBC. The fundamental difference between the two teams and the way we had to operate the split site was our biggest limiter in this project was the feed coming into us. If we didn't have a feed, there was no capture, and then there was no sharing and no analysis. So the difference in the way we set up the team was predominantly around what the OBS feed, which was only available in Brazil, provided us, and what the BBC in the UK were taking back for their broadcast needs, and making that available to the general public. And what we were effectively doing was providing a workaround to that to mean we could capture what the BBC were providing in Manchester. So the fundamental difference was what those 2 broadcast streams were offering, one being the OBS and one being the BBC. Very sport dependent, very dependent on when and what they needed, and the length of the footage. And we did a lot of preparation work, really, and a lot of collaboration and building those relationships with the analysts in the sports, because there were I think over 20 analysts at the Olympics who were actually there embedded in their sports. So cycling, boxing, hockey as examples. The analysts went out accredited and delivered the service. We were there to help support them and help sports around that. And so understanding when they needed it and what, and those relationships we had, that communication we had beforehand, meant that we could plan all that. In practical terms, it really was the speed of internet was a key determining factor when they can get it. But fundamentally, if you had a minute clip available, if we were capturing a minute clip in the UK or in Rio, I would say it's fair to say anything up to 2 minutes after that clip was finished, that clip would be available for someone anywhere else in the world on the Dartfish TV sharing platform, so they could then consume it, and so it was shared in that sort of speed. The team watched over about 1,500 hours of live sport, so it's a fantastic job, lucky us. Captured about 400 hours of content that was then captured and shared via a range of methods, but predominantly hard drive delivery, Dartfish TV and some other platforms, and that was delivered to 25 sports in the Olympics, and then in the Paralympics we offered a scaled down service, but in essence we offered 2 to 3 sports received that service.